That makes it so easy for me now.
It slipped.
Hey guys, I'm Mike.
I'm Bob.
Today we are going to do our top 5 games played at JuliaCon 2022.
Yeah.
Every year, Tim's sister, multiple times a year. Actually, this is the second one this year.
Right. This is the official one. So officially on Notre Dame's bye week, they invite people down to their house to play board games all weekend.
Sports fanatics don't want to miss the Notre Dame game. I don't care, but they are Notre Dame fans, so we oblige them when they want to play games all weekend. Great hosts, great food, great people, great games all weekend long. So it's a truly epic experience. We were really sad to find out Tim couldn't go this year. It was kind of a last minute sort of family thing that popped up. So it was us.
It was representing the South Bend.
Representing South Bend at
Whatever that means.
JuliaCon. I know. There's a gang symbol in there
South
somewhere.
Bend.
I'll figure that out later. So we're going to break down our top 5 games that we played at JuliaCon. On my list, I played 12 games this weekend.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games.
13 games.
So quite a bit of gaming between Friday, Saturday, and this Sunday morning.
Yeah, just Sunday. Yeah, we left at like 1:30. So we're going to go through our favorite games during this con, starting with number 5. Bob, why don't you start us off?
So my number 5 is an older game, came out in 2004, but it is ranked 604 on the BGG. Downfall of Pompeii. I got to teach Mike. He's had it in Shrink.
Finally
He's
got
had
to
it in
play
Shrink
this
for
game.
so long, and it's one of my favorite like introductory types of games. Right,
Yeah.
we're played in 2 basic phases. Where first you're pulling your cards out and bringing all your people into the city, and then you draw the volcano cards, and then everybody's trying to get out of the city, and you're drawing lava tiles and running people over with lava. And I think it's safe to say it's probably the most people I've seen inside the volcano in a game.
Really?
Because we closed those exits so quickly.
Yeah.
There were so many people left inside the city that just couldn't. There was nowhere for them to go.
That game got really defensive where we realized that, like, okay, my one guy can't make it out, so all of y'all ain't making
That's
it out
right.
either.
I will sacrifice a 1 to kill 20.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that happened many times. We had a
did.
ton of closed exits.
Yep.
I believe I won with a score of 6, which is a low score.
No, it was tied. Remember, you guys.
It was the double tiebreaker.
The double tiebreaker. Yeah,
It
they
was
tied on the way
6.
out, and they tied with the number of people in the volcano.
Yes. So Paul and I both had a double tiebreaker win, which is insanity.
Yeah,
But
it was still fun though, right? You like it?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Good.
So I think the thing that always got me is the card setup for that game
It's the trickiest part.
It's an easy game to play, but then you look at that card setup and you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, they could probably do a much better job of breaking down like how to assemble that. But yeah, it's very like do this, do that, then do this, but then take these cards, or there might be this many cards. But you can take either one of those piles that you have and then add these cards to it, and then shuffle it, put one on top, take 2 of those piles, put them on top, hand out piles to other people, then shuffle 2 and add another one to it. Like, wait, what? You know, yeah, it's
Then
just a
add
lot.
this one into the top 10 and these 2 in the top. Yeah, so there's a lot. But it was a really fun game.
Good. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, oh, for sure. So my number 5, of course, I forgot to put the year it came out and the ranking when I told Bob
Good
I was
job.
going to put the year it came out and the ranking on every game. But I know it's designed by John D. Clare. So I was like, yeah, I'll check this out. And it was Custom Heroes. Custom Heroes is this card crafting where you've got like these upgrades in front of a screen, behind a screen in front of you, and you can upgrade the cards in front of you, but it's also a trick-taking game. So you can decide on your turn, well, shoot, I can't beat that 9, but I got a 7 with a +4, so I can use my 11 to beat that 9. And then everybody can upgrade their card at any time. So, pairs will beat singles and 3 of a kind will beat pairs, or it has to be a higher number to count. But you're trying to be the first person to go out. So it's just a really interesting game because, there's 4 slots of upgrades for every card. So after one card has like 3 upgrades and you get that card, you're like, dang, I got this like super powerful card. I got to wait, to kind of use this. And there's like instant trumps that are guaranteed to win unless somebody else trumps. So yeah, it was really good. I'm a big fan of John D. Clare games. This was an older one, I know for sure. Custom Heroes, a card crafting trick taking game. Really solid.
All right. So number 4. My number 4 is a new game. It's super hot right now. I finally got a chance to play it. I guess it's not that new in 2019, but man, it's hard to find. Scout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was a ton of fun. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I saw them setting it up, and I was just getting done with one of my other games. I was like, can I jump in? They're like, yeah, come on in. And they were explaining the game and the rules. And so you're dealt these cards, and you pick them up, and you're not allowed to rearrange your hand. What you pick up is what you got. Now, before we start the turn, you can take your cards and flip them over, because on the other side, they're different numbers, and maybe those are better. But you're also looking for pairs, runs, things like that. And as you play, one person is going to be the start player and play out a card or a pair of cards or a run, and then the next person has to either beat that, by playing either more cards, a higher run, things like that, or they can scout. And when they scout, they give them like a token that's going to be worth a point, and they're going to take one of their cards, and they can take that card and add it to your hand, either the way that they played it, or you can flip it upside down. And that's one of the very few ways that you can manipulate the cards in your hand, by putting that anywhere you want. And you're going to kind of keep going around until somebody goes out. And like, if I was to beat the previous hand, I would take their cards, flip them over, and then add them to like my pile of points, because each card's going to be worth a point. But then if somebody goes out, any cards left in your hand are going to be negative points. And you're going to do this like 4 or 5 times. You play through all of your cards. And it's just a really neat, almost like trick-taking game, but almost like poker, because you're trying to beat them. And yeah, I didn't know what to expect when I came out. I kept hearing about it, and I had a lot of fun playing it.
Yeah, our Discord champion, that is Grapefruit Guerrilla Warfare, has been he's been hyping up this game for months now. I know Jason chimed in about how good Scout was. I intentionally didn't put it on my list. It's my honorable mention, but we want to get more games in this list. Scout's fantastic. Like, the instant that it's available, I'm buying this game. Like, we need multiple copies of this game in our group. It's a lot of fun. I love how, you can flip your cards to the other side, because they're totally different runs of numbers, and you can't adjust your hand unless you use that scout mechanic to steal off of somebody's played cards and insert it in the middle.
Right.
Just a really unique trick-taking game with mechanics. I've just never seen anything like that. A really great game.
Yep.
Good choice for your 4.
Right.
My number 4 came out in 2019. It's ranked 138. Excuse me. I finally got to play It's a Wonderful World, and I enjoyed this game quite a bit.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of people standing around like, well, we got 6 people that aren't in a game right now. What accommodates 6? And then I believe her name was Darcy chimed in, hey, this game with the expansions plays 6. I'm like, okay, great. I haven't played it. And it was fantastic. Like, this is a really good engine builder. You're just drafting your cards a la Seven Wonders style. But at the end of the draft, you choose some cards you're going to discard for the cube resources. And you've got others that you're going to play and try to build your resources onto these cards to build them. Because then after all these cards are drafted, you've got a production turn.
Yes.
And they produce an order, which is really neat. You start with the least valuable cubes. I don't remember the order,
Gray,
but there's like
black, green, yellow, blue.
There you go. Bob remembers them, thankfully. There's 5 different ones. So the blue ones are more rare than the gray ones.
Yep.
And it's really cool because you can time this. Like, well, I'm going to produce a bunch of gray cubes first, which then I can slot
Completes
into my
this.
black card,
Yes.
and then I'll put that one, and then I'll produce black cards
Right,
or
which will
black
finish this
cubes
blue
next.
card, so then the blues will
Oh,
produce on there. Yeah.
I just, engine builders, I mean, I like them, but I've been wanting to experience more of them, and this was one of them. But I like that mechanic where you can kind of plan ahead, and you got these chain reaction combos of bling, this one gets built, and that one will produce, and bam, that will also get built. So, yeah, I just really enjoyed the daisy chaining of combos together that game had. I honestly wanted to play it again instantly. Like, it was, as soon as we were done, I wanted to play it again, and that's a sign of a great game for sure. So that's my number 4.
Nice. Number 3. So my number 3, the version I played came out in 2017, but it looked like there was a bunch of other versions of it. But it's ranked 1042, Merlin. They had Merlin with the Arthur expansion, and it was a lot of fun. Like, there was a little bit of an issue with some of the colored cubes. Like, so we took some of the cubes and put them on like a little map area, so it made it a little bit easier for me to distinguish which ones were which. But what a neat little mechanic. So you're rolling all these dice, and then you're going to pick a die to use. So you have like 3 colored die that matches the color that you're playing, a white die and a black die. The white die is Merlin, and he can move like left or right around this circle and activate the spot that he lands on. Your guy can only go around to the left unless you play use a card or a token basically that allows you to go the other way. And then Arthur moves in the inside circle, and he's got like upgraded like crazy abilities that does a bunch of special stuff. But then it's got a really neat player board where you have like there's like holes in it, and you have like guys that are attacking your castle, and you have like a spot to store all your guys, and then you've got Merlin has his own spot, which holds all the dice, and then you've got what are they calling those? Are like rounded things, slips,
Or picks.
picks. I think they are called.
Look like a window.
Yeah, like a
kind
window,
of.
but like there's a spot to hold all of those, and then you get whoever has the most points of those is going to get stuff. Whoever has the least is going to lose points. If you don't defend the guys coming over the wall, you're going to lose points. You can get Excalibur. If you manage to defeat all your enemies and you have Excalibur, you get bonus points. One of the things you can do is you put these little discs out and gain like influence and area control kind of stuff, and you can complete quests. And like I was just completing quests like every turn. Like I had this ability where I could place a shield guy anywhere, and then every time I completed a shield quest, I would get a bonus point for doing it. So I'm just doing all these quests, and the guy's just like, I've never seen so many quests done before. Like every turn I was like, well, I complete this one. Well, he's like, how are you completing so many quests? I don't know, but I had a ton of fun doing it. I didn't win, unfortunately. She managed to pull it out because she stole Excalibur from me in the last round. And had she not had it, she'd have been down 3. I'd have been up 3, and that would have been the difference. In the
It
game.
was very close,
Very
except
close.
for me.
Yeah, he was.
But it was my first time meeting Jason and Katie from the Board Game Mechanics.
They're pretty
and
okay.
They're pretty okay. And I was messaging Jason knowing that he's a Dry Euro fan, and I was like, dude, I was looking at Merlin at Gen Con, and I almost bought the big box, but I wanted to play it first. And he's like, okay, into the bag it goes. And here I am. This is one of my honorable mentions. I was hoping it would hit Bob's top 5 because I was like this proud papa that's been talking about Feld games for like the instant I met these guys. And this is one I hadn't played yet, and that's why I wanted Jason to bring it. And just to see like that bring when there's just this, it's all the Feld games I've played just have really good mechanics. Like there's multiple different ways to score and win. And it's like, it's not just you're going to go a little bit down this path to score. Like you can go all in on this one strategy that's totally different than other strategies. And that game has several layers. It would take another game to like really, but you were getting those upgrades at the board below that was like allowing you to get like these extra benefits every time you did stuff and just.
Well, you guys were doing the building things, and like I had kind of a hard time telling the colors apart on some of those.
Sure.
So a lot of times when I'm playing a game and like I will ignore that and I will just focus on other, strategies and stuff. And so that's what I did, and it ended up working out for me.
Yeah, I was over there
most
trying
part.
to use resources to build buildings, which is like an area control number of colored tiles, point thing. But
Colored tiles.
yeah, right. But yeah, it was really good.
Yep.
So that goes to my number 3. So this was the last game that we got to play Sunday.
Yep.
I told Katie and Jason that we only had probably about an hour and a half.
Yep.
And I'm just kind of looking at games, and I'm like, hey, Coinbra's one I've always wanted to play. And Katie's like, oh, well, that's my number 1 of all time. I'm like, sold.
Yeah.
So we played Coimbra. It's published in 2018 by Eggert Spill, and it's 189. So
It's up there.
It's up there. I've heard about this game for a while. I've seen really good reviews on it. And this game did not disappoint. I just think this game really adds something very interesting with its bidding mechanic because of the player interaction. So you've basically got like the first player rolls all these dice, and there's like 4 different colors. Well, those 4 colors have to do with the cards you can bid on, and they also have to do with these tracks that you can move up. And they're all kind of themed a little bit and combo together. But you draw the die, and then everybody draws 3 dice. But then you place your die down to bid. So the higher number you have, you get priority of picking out what card you want. So to buy a gray card, I got to use a gray die. And if I bid a 6, it doesn't matter that Bob bid before me. If I lay a 6 and he's got the 4, guess what? I'm going to get my choice of the cards first.
But you got to pay 6 for it.
Yeah, you got to pay the resources for the amount of pips on your die too. So you're paying extra to be guaranteed your pick.
First, yeah.
But that bidding mechanic was so strong in that game. And then there's kind of like this little mini game in the middle where you're moving around and gaining bonuses. Plus, the dice have double activation. Like you're
Yes.
bidding,
Using
and
the bid,
then you buy the color card of the die that you played. But then also that determines what tracks are going to collect
Activate.
income.
Yes.
So every track you get higher up on the tiers, you're going to collect income when you draw those dice.
Mm-hmm.
So just there's a man that game just kind of wow.
I really enjoyed this game too. Like I've played it before, I own it. My biggest beef with it is some of the cards have like there's icons. There's a lot of icons, but some of the cards will have like, oh, if you played this color die, it just has a picture of the die, then you get a bonus to it. And there's no icon on
Yeah.
there. So it's hard for me
Right.
to tell which ones are the purples, which ones are the grays, which ones are the greens. So I have a hard time with that. They did such a good job with having those icons everywhere else, but they're not on those cards. So I avoid those cards.
Right.
And so I went all in on the move the guy around on the track bit, and man, I smoked it this time. Like,
he won by a lot. It was he
Yeah.
blew everybody out in that game.
It worked really well though. But yeah, it's a great game. I love like a lot of dice drafting games. You take the die, you put it in front of you, but like they fall over, they do this and that. This comes with these little like holders that you slot the die in, and so when you move it around, it
Yeah.
identifies the color of your player color, so you know which die is yours, and it keeps it from moving or tipping or anything else. And it's just a cool like piece of material that is holds your die in place. It's a cool bit.
It kind of looks like a castle watchtower kind
It
of.
kind of
That's
does,
sort of what
yeah.
it reminded
yeah,
me
like
of.
a rook or
I don't-
something, and it goes inside there.
I don't know if that's what they intended, but
Kind of.
yeah, just really good mechanics, very tight game.
Mm-hmm.
Just had a blast playing Coinbro.
Yeah, cool.
That leads us to number 2.
So, number 2 really surprised me. I saw this game at Gen Con, and my first look and hearing the guys like talking about setting it up, like I think it was it you and I that saw them setting it? I think it was Spencer and I that saw them setting it up. And we're just like, man, it just doesn't sound very good the way they're talking about it, And I was like, and I was underwhelmed and I was disappointed.
And I made the comment about how I thought the tile art was really dry.
Yes.
Like it just kind of
But Northgard released in 2022. It's ranked like 2,479. Just came out, right? And it's still real new. But like tile exploration, it's like a deck buildy Carcassonne. It's like I felt like Arnak, and Carcassonne together. So it's like you have your starting hands of cards, and you would play a card to do the effect, and then as you would buy more cards and stuff, they would go on top, and then so you're kind of like deck building and making your cards stronger and better. But you're also area controlling, gathering resources, exploring new tiles, and adding them to the map. There's monsters that can appear that can come in and wreck things for you a little bit, and it helps that I won. But it was a super sneaky win because they didn't see me. Like I had one big building back here in the back, and right at the last turn, I played a thing, moved 2 guys in, and just went in on Mike and took him out and took control of his last area, and that's what I needed to win. And it's just so cool. Like those mechanics with I love the tile exploration. That's one of my big things. I love
the
deck
exploration mechanic was really well done. I
was.
like those where like you're really invested in like what's on the other side of that tile because you want those big building tiles because that was your in-game condition. You got
right.
to build 3 level 2 big buildings,
and they have to be closed, kind of like you would close a city in Carcassonne. Like your
Right.
territory has to be enclosed, and like so everybody's playing an asymmetrical clan. My clan was all about exploration. So like all the things I was doing, I was trying to just explore and see as many tiles as I could. And I kind of had this long trail of tiles behind me, and so people would have a hard time getting down to my area because there's no side routes to get to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool mechanics. Like I said, the board, it looks a little bland like at first and whatnot,
Yeah.
but like the way they were doing it at Gen Con is they already had the board set up with dudes on it because you're just doing a quick little like show me
Right.
how kind of a thing. But like the actual like how you seed the board at the beginning was super interesting to me too, right? Because like okay, you're gonna get a tile, you get to place it, and you can put your dudes on it. Then you get to kind of build your
Yeah.
thing. It's not just like oh there it is, you all start here, let's go. No, you get to actually seed the whole board, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun, and there was quite a bit of tension there because towards the end it seemed like there were up to like 3 different people that could have triggered the end game, and it was kind of this sort of tug of war on who was going to pull it off. So
Yeah.
I definitely appreciated that.
Snuck
There
in
was
there.
a good amount of
Yeah.
kind of epic tension to the end of that one.
it was
That
good.
one was solid. My number 2, this is a game that I've owned for a while. I have the Kickstarter edition, and I just never played it. And then I believe it was Julia that just said the name of the game,
did,
and
yeah.
I'm like, sold. And that's Clans of Caledonia. I like economic games. I like engine building games, and this game just combines these these mechanics so well because it's got that building placement kind of like Terra Mystica where you are going to place, and it gets compared a lot, and I see why. You place a type of building out onto the board and it gives you a certain resource during the production phase. Well, you have to pay for it to put it out, but if you put it adjacent to other players, you can buy. That's what's a little different in Terra Mystica. You get like extra power, which is more actions. Well, if you place next to another player in Clans of Caledonia, it gives you options to buy whatever building they can produce at a discount. So it's got this variable market that's like the Raccoon Tycoon market, where you're always kind of fluctuating based on buying or selling goods, and to be able to buy stuff cheaper by placing next to somebody incentivizes you to move next to other players. It also has that bonus endgame scoring for most contiguous, so you're trying to chain them all together and get this long, chain of buildings together. I also like the chain of like you've got milk and wheat as basic resources, but you can build a building and convert that milk into cheese or convert that wheat into beer, and then it's worth even more. So if you produce them on the same turn, it's like, oh, my milk turns into a beer, and then so it just kind of, your production turns are just super fulfilling, where I was making like 64 coins.
Holy cow.
And you're using all that money to place guys back out and get more buildings and chain those basic goods into refined goods, and it just fantastic game. I love Clans of Caledonia so much. Thank you, Julia, for showing me that game. I'm so glad. The coins were amazing in the Kickstarter edition. And
I wish I would have got to play that with you. I didn't get a chance to.
Oh, man, we will. I've got it, so we will definitely play that one again. That's my number 2.
All right, so number 1. Well, we talked about this a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
And there'll be probably another video about this coming out soon.
Maybe? Yeah. Is there a crossover?
A little bit.
It is, because it's Wonderland's War. Oh,
so good.
It's so good.
Right there. Takes up the whole shelf, but it's worth it.
It's amazing.
It is. It's how do you want to
Battle Quacks?
Sure, that's a good way to do it. So like at the beginning of the round, you're going to be going around this table collecting cards, and those cards are going to be adding chips to your bag, and they're also going to be upgrading your player board, giving you abilities and everything. Once everybody has gone around the table and collected 4 cards, you're going to move to and like put all their workers out and stuff. Then your supporters, I think is what they're called.
Yeah.
And then you're going to place your followers. Then you're going to put your leaders out there. And there's 6 different locations. And so starting in one designated area, whoever's got people in that area first, the people who aren't in the area get to bet.
Yeah,
who's
you get
not
the wager.
Who they think is going to win. And then everybody else is going to be reaching into their bag, pulling out chips. And you're going to keep pulling out chips and adding to your strength. If you pull out madness chips, you're going to have to lose some of your followers that are out there. But once your madness track fills up, that's going to like reset your bag. So all your exhausted chips are all going to go back into your bag again, so you can use them the next time. And all your players have like really great asymmetrical abilities that you get to do. The production quality is amazing. The bits, the chips, the bags, the boards, the color palette, like the insert, everything. Like it's the deluxe version, sure, but man, it's coming out on Kickstarter soon again for like a second edition. It's so worth it. It's rapidly becoming one of my favorite games.
Yeah, same here as well. I mean, we enjoyed it so much that we pushed out a review.
Yep.
We were hoping to time it with the reprint. I bought retail, and I think retail is gorgeous. I even thought the art on the standees looks good.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm totally fine with this, but I'm enjoying this game so much. I'm literally going to get rid of my retail copy and back the second edition. I mean, I put this on our top 10 games with the best components. I think it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I just love the art on the box. So hits that sweet spot of just goofy, whimsical, but dark and strange art, which captures that Alice in Wonderland theme absolutely perfectly.
We put on some good music in the background. Some
music. Jefferson Airplane was the request. Play the White Rabbit song, and then that playlist set the spot for that night.
It was perfect. Yeah, it was a great night.
Yeah,
it plays a little long. It took us like 2 hours, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. You know, because it's super simple with mechanics and what you're doing. It just takes a little time to go through all 3 of those rounds. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it really sings. You know, 4-player I think is 3 and 4-player is probably the sweet spot. I haven't played it with 5. You know, it could run a little long, but it just, like you said, it just doesn't. You always feel involved with what's going on, even when you're not in a battle. That wager mechanic is really fun.
Yeah.
Just a rewarding experience, a blast to play. You know, I've celebrated from playing this game.
Yeah,
so.
Tons of replayability too, because like you've played it the 5 times, and you've only used the A set, and there's 4 different sets of chips of Wonderlandians, allies that you can get.
Like we've got to try that next, but like we're having so much fun with just a base set of chips. It'll be fun to try variation of those ally chips. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about Wonderland's War. Everybody at the table really seemed to enjoy it.
Did. And even like because Katie played with us. And she wanted Mike. We wanted Mike to play the next day. So I think she wants to get it because like she's like, well, you should play it. You should play it.
I know. She was trying to talk us into playing it again Sunday, but we had a little bit of a time crunch. But it's one of those games like you just want to kind of keep playing it.
Yeah,
it's super good.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely a worthy crossover at R1. I really already talked about all of my honorable mentions. I played more games.
I played more games too, but that's really the one that I got to check out Forsaken, right? So one of the designers for Forsaken was there.
The designer was there.
So that was super cool. He had a prototype copy. And
his
there was
prototype copy was at Rahdo's house.
Just got back from Rahdo. So that was kind of neat. But it was cool. It's a lot more story driven than I thought it would be. You're playing through your different missions and quests and trying to complete them, and they're all actually individual for each character, and it's very thematic for what your character is trying to do. The components even for the prototype are super cool. Like so, one of my things like when you're on a normal board and you're having a score track, you're piling up cubes or discs trying to keep track. These things have these little things. They're like plastic with like a little nipple on top, but then they stack and interlock. And as well as where the scores are, right? So if he's got like the 1 through 50 here, there's like all these little nubs. And so whatever you're on, you put your thing on the nub and it keeps from falling around, getting pushed around. It's almost, not quite dual layer, but it's almost better because they're interlocking. So I thought that was kind of neat, right? And it's game trays, so there's all types of cool trays. Like if you have, I want to buy a card from the thing. Here you go. Hand him the whole tray set, and here's the whole tray. Here's all the cards displayed out for sale. Okay, I'll take this one. Hand it back to him. So, you have to like keep reading. So it's just a lot of neat, cool things they did with the game. Like I said, it's like way more story driven and thematic than I thought it was going to be. So, but it was enjoyable.
Awesome.
Took a little bit of time to play, but yeah.
Sure. I had it in my head. I'm having a complete brain fart on my other. So Clover. I finally got to play that.
I didn't get to play that, but I played it before.
Yeah, and it's a repost production by the same company that did Just One. And it's interesting because you got a card that has a word on each side, so it's 4 words. And we actually played it wrong the first round where we got to pick where the cards go and then come up with clues. So you place these, you got this clover. And with these square cards with words on each corner, you write a clue that has to do with these 2 words, and then a clue that has to do with the bottom 2 words. So you make 4 clues. Yeah. The first time we played, we were picking where they go, and then we were like, "Oh, wait a minute! You don't get to do that. You got to put them random." When we're like, "That's gonna be so hard."
Yeah.
But then when we actually started playing, and you see people, you have to keep quiet and you're watching people deduce what your clues are, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're actually going to figure this out. It's an interesting team deduction puzzle where you're like, well, wait a minute, this one doesn't have anything to do with this other clue, but that's got to be it. That was probably just the one he couldn't come up with something.
Right.
And once you have the other
Everything
3
else,
clues, the
that's
4th
what's
one,
left.
you're like, it's got to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, really enjoyed Clover. That was a really good word game.
It's very clever. It's not as like easy access as it Just One is. It's a little more thinky.
A little
than that.
tricky. Yeah,
it's
a little
tricky.
trickier, but
it's still fun.
It's still easy to play. Like,
it's still very easy to play, but just not quite as easy as a Just One.
Yeah, the clue giving is a little tougher for sure, but a blast to play. Yeah. So I think that does it. That's our recap of JuliaCon 2022. If you're still with us, Bob, what should our fans at home do?
Like, subscribe, ring the bell, comment on the video, like any of these games that you've been wanting to play that you're kind of jealous that we got to play. We'll talk to you about them. Any questions you have about any of these games, we'll answer them for you. But share it with your friends and everything.
Scout's a blast. I can't wait to buy that one.
Same.
I just need it to be available. That's all I want.
Yeah.
So that is it for today's rendition of the Board Game Rundown. I have been Mike.
I was Bob.
See you next time.